the order of operations, or I'm sure you've heard it called PEMDAS before. Now, we do have 6 letters in PEMDAS, but it turns out there's really just 4 steps. And here's why. You should always do the P, parentheses, first. There's your P. Or grouping symbols is a more general term for it, but we just use P for parentheses. But it's true for brackets, and it's also true for absolute value bars if you have those. But that always happens first. If there's something going on inside parentheses, we do them first. Then we have the E for PEMDAS, exponents. Now, while we have 4 letters for what's left, we really just have 2 steps, because multiplication and division can go in either order. It doesn't matter whether you multiply first or divide first. What does matter is that you go from left to right first. So there may be a problem where you have division then multiplication. What matters is that you do the first operation on the left first and then move your way to the right. And we'll see examples of that in these problems down here. Same with addition and subtraction. Addition doesn't have to go before subtraction. Subtraction might happen before addition sometimes. So these two can go in either order, but you have to move from left to right. So PEMDAS is helpful, but you need to understand that multiplication and division are really a step together, and the key is to move from left to right. Addition and subtraction are really a move or a step together, but you have to move from left to right. Okay, so as we look at the examples here, part A, this is 3 to the 4th power, so there's just an exponent we need to deal with. Now, if you can do that on your own in your head, great, but if we're working this out by hand, it's probably easiest to remember that 3 to the 4th power means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So we're going to obey this rule about going from left to right. So I'll start with these two and say 3 times 3 is 9. Then I'll multiply these two together. 9 times 3 is 27. Now I'll multiply 27 times 3 and get 81. Now, truthfully, on this particular example, it doesn't really matter what order you do it in, but there are definitely problems where it does. So you should just be in the habit of going from left to right all the time. B is similar, 6 cubed. So we remember that 6 cubed means 6 times 6 times 6. So using the rule, we're in the multiplication step. We go from left to right. 6 times 6 is 36. And then 6 times 36. All right, let's see here. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So 216 is our answer for 6 cubed. Okay, C, we start getting interesting. Now I know it's not super easy to tell, but this one is a division symbol, and this one is an addition. So that one's division, that one's addition. We've got 2 sets of parentheses here. We've got the brackets and the rounded parentheses. We want to go with the ones that are innermost first. So these are parentheses inside of parentheses, so we need to deal with what's inside there first. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now we're just down to 1 set of parentheses. So as we look in here, we have addition and we have an exponent. So we need to do the exponent first. 4 squared is 16. So we still have parentheses, still need to handle them appropriately. I'm going to zoom in a little more. I think that might make it better. 2 plus 16 is 18. And now finally we can multiply. There are still parentheses, but there's no operations going on inside of it. It's just a number. So 3 times 18 is 54. Okay, D, one thing I need to make clear. when you have a fraction, then the whole problem is a fraction. There may be just a piece of a problem that's a fraction, but when there's a whole problem that's a fraction, one thing you have to know is we actually need to add numerators, that's the top of a fraction, and denominators to this list of what to do first. They are a type of a grouping. So you treat a numerator just like it has parentheses around itself, or a denominator like it has parentheses around itself. So like right here, you have to pretend that there's parentheses around these individually. The reason we have to do that is if we were to write this in one line instead of as a fraction, it's the division symbol, we would have to put parentheses around them in order for this to turn out correctly, because we're wanting to take the whole thing the top is equal to and divide by the whole thing the bottom is equal to. So when you have a big fraction like this, treat the numerator as its own set of parentheses and the denominator the same way. Okay, so 3 plus 2 cubed, we have addition and an exponent inside this parenthesis up here. So we do the 2 cubed first, that's equal to 8. In this parenthesis, we have multiplication and exponents. Exponents come first, so we have 16 times 3. So then, within this parenthesis, or understood parenthesis, the top, the numerator, 3 plus 8 is 11. And in this parenthesis, 16 times 3 is 48. Now, it's fine to have a fraction as your answer, but if it's possible to reduce the fraction, or if it divides to a whole number, you should go ahead and do that. But this one doesn't do either. There's no reducing here, and we don't need to do long division and get some crazy decimal. Just leave it as a fraction, 11 over 48. And we'll see more of these fraction examples in just a minute. Okay, on part E, we do what's inside the parentheses first. 8 minus 4 is 4. Then we do 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, on F, we need to look inside the parentheses first. So we have an exponent and subtraction. So we do the exponent first. That's 16. 4 squared, 16. Now we still have parentheses, so we gotta prioritize those. 16 minus 10 is 6. So now we're down to addition and multiplication. So we need to multiply first. 3 times 6 is 18. Then our last step is to say 4 plus 18 is 22. Okay, G, this one is actually quite simple. We still should do it in order. Multiplication comes before addition. So 8 times 1 is 8. And 10 plus 8 is 18. Okay, H is a little bit trickier, and again, I know it's hard to read, but this right here is a division symbol, and so is this. So the only addition is the in between the 3 and the 22. This one is a division, this one's a division. So there's no parentheses, so our first step instead is to do the exponent. 3 squared is 9. So we completed steps 1. There were no parentheses. We completed step 2, which is the exponent. So we have 3 division and multiplication things going on here. So those are our next priority, but we got to do them from left to right. So I'll start saying 9 divided by 3 is 3. 22 times 7 is 154. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we've completed step 3, our multiplication and division. So now we deal with addition and subtraction from left to right. So I say 3 plus 154 is 157. And then I subtract 157 minus 4, get my final answer, 153. We have another fraction here. So remember, we treat this like there's parentheses. So on the top, we deal with the exponent first. 3 squared is 9. On the bottom, the only thing to do is do 12 plus 1, which is 13. On the top, we still need to do the addition, so we get 13 over 13. And this one obviously does come out to a whole number. 13 over 13 is equal to 1. J, we focus on what the inner parentheses first. So these rounded parentheses are inside the square brackets. And again, this is a division symbol. So we have a multiplication and addition. We've got to do multiplication first because that's part of step 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Still have more to do inside that parenthesis. So we do 21 plus 4, which is 25. And then we really have completed everything inside this rounded parenthesis because there's no more operation there, it's just a number. So now we look at the bracket and we say 5 times 125, 5 times 25, which is 125. And then our last step is to divide. 250 divided by 125 is 2. But you think about it, 25, twice that is 50, twice 100 is 200. So that's half the size of 250, so that's why 250 over 125 is 2. Okay, last one. It's a big fraction, so again, we got to treat these two things separately until we get everything done inside them. So in the top here, we have an exponent to deal with first. 4 squared is 16. And that is a division symbol there too. All divided by, we deal with what's inside these parentheses first. 5 plus 2 is 7. Okay, then on top we have a multiplication and a division. We do them from left to right, so 2 times 16 is 32. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 7 times 2 is 14. On top, 32 minus 4 is 28. On the bottom, already finished, it's 14. And 28 divided by 14 is 2. Okay, so remember these steps. PEMDAS is very helpful. There's nothing wrong with remembering Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, but what you've got to remember is these two letters go together in a single step, and you have to do them from left to right. These two operations go together in a single step, and you have to do them from left to right.